Hare Krishna. Now we are starting with our Gopāla Campū study session. Today is the 26th chapter, the Rasa Dance. So before I start this session, I would like to thank His Holiness Bhanu Swāmī Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Swāmī Maharaj, Śrīla Prabhupada, and all the Acharyas. Thank you so much for kindly listening. Hare Krishna. Snigdha Kanta said, the Rasa Dance. Snigdha Kanta said, when the gopis heard Krishna's sweet words, their misery due to separation disappeared. Not only that, future suffering was also eradicated, because by those words, they understood that Krishna was clearly under their control. Krishna then spoke sweetly to the gopis, whose lotus faces were the residence of their Kanchana bird eyes. My mind has been burning for you a long time, and you have similarly been longing for me. We will undertake a secret festival to fulfill that most rare desire. The festival in the form of the Rasa Dance is now described. Here in Vrindavana, where the full autumn moon shines and you are present with all your skills, I am pleased that the time has come. What else can be done except celebrate? Oh dear women, what can I do to celebrate except to have the Rasa Dance? The full moon of Krishna rising in the ocean of Vraja intently and simultaneously honored all the women, like chakora birds, spreading happiness through embraces and kisses. Surrounded by the river bank, devoid of low and high ground, devoid of mud, grass, or kusha, he had them join hands in a circle in order to perform the Rasa Dance. They formed the circle. Love became full by Krishna's going to the bank of Yamuna. By the bank of the river, his mind became full. By his full mind, his eyes became full. By his two eyes being full, all the women became fully satisfied. By all the women being satisfied, the festival became complete from beginning to end. What more can be said? Even today, the festival has not stopped. In the midst of the circle he had created, Krishna, attaining a great brilliance, began to think. As the moon shone above, the bank shone below. Though the moon had spots, the women on the bank are faultless. The women are like a necklace of gold mixed with pearls. If there is an emerald-centered jewel between each pair of women, this would be most attractive. If I enter between each pair, the arrangement will be perfect. As he thought like this, his desire was fulfilled. He was between each gopi. He also did not know exactly how it happened. The bank appeared beautiful with Krishna and the doe-eyed gopis. By its reflections, the bank was like the moon itself. The bank was friends with the moon. The gopis were friends with the bank. The meeting with countless forms of Krishna was the friend of the gopis. The women were in a circle on either side of Krishna with interlocked hands. The ropes of their arms bound up Krishna's flawless back. He placed his arms at the beginning of the Rasa Dance. There were thousands upon thousands of alternately golden and black forms in a circle, and Krishna with Radha were in the center. Praising new youthfulness, Krishna began the Rasa Dance. Parashara has loudly proclaimed this. Youthfulness was made successful by the gopis' presence. This I have already described. Look, what more can I say? My hairs are standing on end. Though he has many lovers of various types, Radha is his life and others are her functionaries. By his limbs, he made Cupid subservient. Taking the women into the arena of pastimes, he began various amorous actions by moving his limbs to gain auspicious association with the young women. The women in the midst of sapphire forms of Krishna surpassed the effulgence of gold. Their eyes were wide, their bangles jingled as they kept beat by moving their hands. They moved in various gaits and their necklaces attracted Cupid. With lowered brows, endowed with forms of fresh beauty, performing pastimes, revealing the excellence of clever dancing, they made sounds with the chains of their moving ankles, which reached the heavens and which broadcast the excellence of their dancing. At the Rasa dance, a mixture of various beats arose. Ah, that sound attracted the devatas wandering in the distant sky. Arriving on chariots, they joyously experienced singing, instrumental music, and refinements simultaneously and forgot their identities. The devatas talked among themselves. Look, look. Krishna is singing and he attracts the gopis, and the women sing and they attract Krishna. Look at the bank of the river, resplendent with Krishna and with the gopis being embraced. Listen to the novel song sung by the gopis. They sing a song in accordance with the musical scriptures, dancing spontaneously, joining the singing, depicting the words of the song. When the dancers moved most attractively with attractive gestures in all their limbs, their eyes became dancers along with their eyebrows. The devatas most expert in dance in music, dancing and singing, also began dancing to the music with gestures. When the sound of various drums mixed with the music from the heavens, and all the forms of Krishna became alert and eager by the when the sound of various drums mixed with the music from the heavens, the golden gopis and all the forms of Krishna became alert and eager by the profusion of excellent dancing, while their feet, hands, throats, and waists became fatigued. Like archers who do not fail in hitting their mark, the group, having joined hands, did not fail to achieve their goals. Though the gopis and forms of Krishna had joined hands, they separated their hands according to the beat of the music, showing various gestures. Quickly, their minds reached the height of satisfaction. They joined their hands in the bliss of the Rasa dance. Showers of flowers constantly fell upon Krishna and the golden gopis. It was astonishing that there was a shower from above the clouds and lightning were below. The devatas and their wives, bearing the weight of material life, having been newly defeated, began to praise Krishna. Understanding what was proper through the influence of Yoga Maya, they began singing to the accompaniment of music. The song is here compiled and presented. Glories of all good qualities, you have appeared in Gokula to give happiness to the world. O Lord Brahma, Shiva, and Lakshmi meditate on serving you. You are present with your women in the Rasa dance filled with pastimes. You wear clothing and ornaments like an actor and are endowed with the 64 talents. You create joy among all present. You create great joy in the women by embracing them and destroy their pain. On seeing each other, you all develop sattvika bhavas. You are present in many forms in the circle. You have been brought under control by seeing the women of Raja. They flirt by touching your lotus feet, holding your hand and moving their eyebrows. Their waists bend, their earrings sway, their hair stand on end and they perspire. You are like a cloud and the women are like lightning. This comparison shows your extreme beauty. The women have sweet voices, are zealous dancers, and have affection for only you. Their hearts are filled with the intoxication of your sweet touch. They have purchased you with prema. happiness, you stand among these young women who cover the earth with joy, arising from the songs. I offer respects to you. Singing the purest notes with you who maintain astonishment, Radha reveals songs filled with all your qualities, which are praised by everyone. Revealing her excellence and joy while singing, Radha worships you and you worship her. She becomes tired in the dance, and the jasmine garland falls from her hair. With great artistry, she places her arm on your shoulder, splendid with an ear ornament. She kisses your iron arms with joy up to the shoulder. She feels inestimable rapture, such that her hair stands on end in joy. Excuse me. O Krishna, with swaying earrings and with cheeks like mirrors, as a pretext for touching the gopis, by kissing them after giving them chewed betel. O brother of Balarama, the young girl who keeps beat to the dancing and singing with her jingling bangles, takes your incomparable lotus hand to her heart. O Krishna, object of sight for the gopis exhausted from engaging in the Rasa dance. O Krishna, exhausting those engaged in the revolving dance. O Krishna, filled with the highest affection for the gopis. O Krishna, whose great fame is confirmed by poets. O Krishna, wearing all types of garlands, glory to you, glory to you, glory to you, O performer of the Rasa dance. The statement Rajasi Rase, Valita Vilase Nija, Ramani Bhir Deva, you are present with your women in the Rasa dance filled with pastimes, is explained. You are present with your women in the Rasa dance filled with pastimes. Bringing to earth his human form, the crest jewel of eternal auspiciousness, and showing the extent of its powers, Krishna became astonished at his one form. Though he can perfectly understand his form and qualities, the gopis made his form, the ornaments, more beautiful by their beauty. It is said, Krishna possesses that form suitable for human pastimes to show the full capacity of his yoga maya. That form astonishes even the Lord of Vaikuntha, is the pinnacle of auspicious qualities and enhances the beauty of his ornaments. SB 3:2-12. In the midst of the dancing gopis, Lord Krishna appeared most brilliant, like an exquisite sapphire in the midst of golden ornaments. SB 10:33-6. In that case, what can be said of Radha's qualities? How much she should be praised? Describing the content of full of happiness, you stand among these young women who cover the earth with joy arising from the songs. The poets say, the universe became completely full of the extensive qualities of the youthful Braja women. Commenting on the verse, singing the purest notes with you, the maintainer of astonishment, Radha reveals songs filled with all your qualities, which are praised by everyone. The poets give praise to gopis who by singing brought Krishna under control and who bewildered Shiva, Brahma, and Indra by their songs about Krishna, became astonished along with Krishna. I praised Radha, who made all the ragas they created useless. The gopis who by singing brought Krishna under control and who bewildered Shiva, Brahma, and Indra by their songs about Krishna became astonished along with Krishna. I praised Radha, who made all the ragas they created useless. Elaborating on the phrase, Krishna with swaying earrings with cheeks like mirrors, the poets say, it's proper that Krishna previously performed Achamana twice using the nectar from the lips of Radha. How else could he eat the betel chewed by her teeth? Krishna is the source of all affection and appears in a bodily form. In that form, he spreads experience of affection. In that form, he spreads experience of affection among all the people of Vraja. I offer respects to Radha, the supreme jewel among all the dear gopis, to whom he considered himself obligated in love. Subduing her lover, Radha sports with him. Durga, thinking, I'm not like that, merges into the body of Shiva out of shame, since she is anyway known as half his body. Poets consider Shiva and Durga being parts of one body. Please consider when I say the same condition is present in Radha and Krishna. Both their forms are full of prema, and both their forms are famous through the three worlds. Their perfect condition cannot be compared to our condition. When the heavenly music and singing slackened, the jingling of ornaments and buzzing of bees became audible. When both heavenly and earthly sounds diminished, the arts of expert dancing became prominent. The topmost assembly with the gopis' hair and ear ornaments became conspicuous. Krishna began to dance while embracing the gopis, holding their hands, gazing at them with affection, elegantly sporting with them and laughing with them. He was an image and its reflection simultaneously. As the dance ended, the gopis were unable to keep their garlands, hair, bodices, shawls, and ornaments in place. On thinking of the Rasa dance, even today, sages forget themselves. It's not surprising, therefore, that the gopis lost their strength. The heavenly women, on seeing the Rasa dance, were pierced by arrows of desire. Bewilderment spread in all directions. Please hear the sweetness of the Rasa dance producing astonishment, stopped the zodiac and made the moon and other planets wander aimlessly in the sky. When the gopis had attained their desired pastime and their actions slackened because of extreme absorption, the Rasa dance ended. When the dance ended, the pairs of gopis and Krishna, seeing the opportunity for special arrangements, disappeared into separate grooves. On disappearing, the pairs then arranged each other's cloth and ornaments. While embracing, they arranged their cloth. When Krishna embraced a gopi saying, "You have become tired, but not because of me, your lover," the gopis soaked him with tears. Ah, more delicate than the leaves on a young. You have become tired from enjoying pastimes with me. I do not understand. With tears in his eyes, he wiped away the perspiration from their faces. Wiping away their tears and the perspiration arising from fatigue during the rasa pastimes, Krishna began perspiring. When Vrinda's main Sakhis brought materials and asked many questions, Krishna performed actions as described below. When Vrinda's main Sakhis brought materials and asked many questions, Krishna performed actions as described below. He relieved the fatigue of the gopis by gazing at them with tearful eyes, fanning them with cloth, kissing them on the cheek after wiping their faces and locks of hair, arranging their upper and lower clothes, massaging their bodies, offering them betel nut, speaking to them with utmost sweetness and praising their beauty and qualities. The gopis are described. The gopis, relieved of their fatigue, showed smiles on their faces, fanned Krishna with fresh leaves, gently massaged his limbs, rearranged his disheveled garlands and cloth, joked skillfully and offered him betel and camphor. Vrinda herself appeared and seeing everything, other women should not be present with such couples. The women carrying the materials then laughed gently and said, "Oh Vrinda, we see that all the pairs of Krishna and the gopis accept all this with joy and carefully put on the cloth and ornaments. Oh friend, what can we say about the ornaments and cloth destroyed in a moment during the dance? Perhaps it is not true that their ornaments and clothing were not lost, but at least they are not visible in these private quarters." Vrinda thought with a smile, "This is true. They speak the truth. I can see that the pairs of Krishna and the gopis are now preparing for special enjoyment in singing, which will give joy to all the senses and destroy all fatigue." Snigdha Khanta then concluded, "O Radha, your lover, rare among all people, has covered all the other gopis in order to cling to you, who are part of himself." Chapter 27, Water Games. Madhukanta said, "Then the glorious women of Krishna, whose perspiration after the Rasa dance produced small rivers, went to the bank of the Yamuna, which served the unlimited gopis immediately and became. Krishna and the young women should overcome shyness and enter my waters. Yamuna then suddenly overflowed our banks. The gathering of gopis like lightning with beauty of their bodies, gossiping like Chataka birds along with Krishna like a cloud with rumbling thunder, was like the approaching monsoon. The gathering while entering the monsoon waters and holding hands shone brilliantly. There was a soft sound of laughter, pulling each other into the water, slackened limbs and intense shivering. Before the gopis immersed themselves in the water, such symptoms were present. But now these previous symptoms were like copies of the real symptoms. When the gopis with harsh brows did not enter the water, Krishna splashed them with water. They perceived that he was quickly approaching and had multiplied into many forms which were holding water. Going into the water, Krishna was giving them thick rasa, sprinkled them with water. Pierced by the arrows of water, the gopis then entered the river. The restless-eyed gopis, waist deep in the water, blocked his approach like wives of a Krishnasara deer. And with the reflections of the gopis' eyes mixed with the fish, when the reflections of the gopis' eyes mixed with the fish could not distinguish themselves from the reflected eyes. Or as if envious, the fish touched the limbs of the frightened gopis for a moment. This gave pleasure to Krishna's eyes. They moved like swans. Their breasts were like chakravaka birds. Their eyes were like fish. Their belts were like cranes. The gopis defeated these animals whose jurisdiction now became perfected by the gopis. Their faces defeated lotuses. Their faces were superior to all lotuses, and since those faces were the cause of the moon. When the gopis laughed with glancing around, Krishna began a water fight with them. In the Yamuna's waters, dark like a cloud splashed water on lightning, and lightning splashed water on a cloud. Astonishing, astonishing. Is this some dramatic performance? Look, the women of heaven began to speak in this way. Up to their necks in the water, the lotus-faced women were adhering to Krishna like lotuses be. When Krishna showed boldness, he defeated the golden gopis. They then hid in a forest of golden lotuses. But Krishna then surpassed their tactic. He hid himself in a forest of blue lotuses. Did they not spread illusion during the water play? For their faces were fragrant like lotuses, had the beauty of lotuses, and exuded sweetness like lotuses. When Krishna with difficulty caught a gopi in the lotus forest, our exclamations reveal both joy and sorrow. One gopi, confounded by the sudden appearance of Krishna's face, seeing that she had attained the blue lotus face with a soft smile, began to relish that sweetness. She hid herself from the other gopis who had a similar desire to relish his face. The embrace which was not attained, before, now spontaneously became possible in the water. When a gopi submerged herself in deep water, Krishna rescued her. The gopis all together went into the breasts and desired to defeat him by taking large amounts of water in their hands. Somehow they were victorious, but were finally defeated by him. Krishna, like a bee, drank the lotus faces of the gopis, though they were closed. On some pretext, Krishna drank the nectar of the faces of the fickle-eyed gopis. On some pretext, Krishna drank the nectar of the faces of the fickle-eyed gopis. On some pretext, Krishna drank the nectar of the faces of the fickle-eyed gopis. He wounded them on the chest with his nails. When he suddenly embraced them, they were pierced by the arrows of love. When Krishna, whose arms extended to his knees, came close to the mouths of the gopis beside him, their hands came close to the water. When Radha placed her Sakhis in front in order to join the water play, dear Krishna became stunned instead of splashing water. The gopis did not know that Radha had stunned Krishna, eager to defeat him in the water fight, for Krishna showed that he was actually victorious. When Radha raised a lotus to throw at Krishna, who showed his lotus eyes covered by locks of hair, a bee in the lotus buzzed loudly. In fear, she fled, and Krishna followed her to a phalanx of Sakhis and entered into it. When the gopis' eyes became red from the water fight, they displayed attractive smiles and loud laughs. With beauty heightened by the battle of love, their rasa seemed like anger. Just as he had done to the girls worshipping Katyayani, Krishna, though alone, fought with millions of gopis in the water and then quickly came to the shore to steal their clothing. Making sounds of the swan, having water as their clothing, having lotus faces and loose locks of hair, they stood like lotus stalks. Cries arose in the water, and on the gopis in the water made sounds like Chataka birds praying, and Krishna on the shore gently rumbled like thunder. Laughing profusely, showing his great happiness and friendship, he gave back the clothing to several gopis at a time, cloth by cloth. Seeing their bodies slender as sticks dressed in one cloth and gazing at the face, he laughed harder. Laughing profusely, showing his great happiness and friendship, he gave back the clothing to several gopis at a time, cloth by cloth. Seeing their bodies slender as sticks dressed in one cloth and gazing at their face, he laughed harder. When Krishna laughed, the gopis became completely unsteady, partially covering themselves with a cloth. They became flushed in complexion and stunned, and while softly giggling, falsely cried without tears while showing pride in their eyes. With the gopis' desires completely fulfilled, which attracted the three worlds, the women of heaven then began showering baskets full of the best clothing, ornaments, and garlands. With the gopis' desires completely fulfilled, which attracted the three worlds, the women of heaven then began showering baskets full of the best clothing, ornaments, and garlands. Seeing that excellent cloth, he became most joyful, and accepting the cloth and enjoying it, gave it to the gopis. When he gave them the cloth, they became more beautiful. Their bodies glowed from immersion in the water by wearing the fine white cloth and by possessing effulgent breasts and shining locks of hair. In this way, the gopis of Krishna showed great beauty at that time. The great beauty of Krishna and the gopis with many ornaments attracted all eyes. The great beauty of Krishna and the gopis with many ornaments attracted all eyes. When the devatas saw Krishna and the gopis in new clothing and new youth, they thought of them as bride and groom and began showering flowers. The doe-eyed gopis then spoke crookedly in order to play in the forest. Oh Krishna, do you have a Cupid? Show me this person whom you say is your friend. Krishna then spoke with a profound smile to Radha. Oh Radha, you do not want to see Cupid. Look at the followers of Cupid, attained by your pious acts and show of respect. The trees and creepers, like husbands and wives of our village, are welcoming you as a guest. They take you as their own, waving their new leaves to beckon you. Waving their new leaves to beckon you. This village throws flowers on the path to make you comfortable. The flocks of cuckoos are calling you nicely with their sweet voices. The flocks of cuckoos are calling you nicely with their sweet voices. The bees are joyful. The bees are joyful, buzzing like the playing of a drum, and hundreds of peacocks are dancing everywhere like their chief friends. The bees are joyful, buzzing like the playing of a drum, and hundreds of peacocks are dancing everywhere like their chief friends. The master of the night, the moon, shines its light everywhere. The path increases in width, desiring your foot dust. The gopis remained with Krishna within many dwellings in the auspicious forest near the Yamuna. There he manifested pastimes with his beloved gopis on each consecutive day. Coming from their nest, the bee couples followed each of them while singing auspicious songs. Ah, the bee couples followed them to the pleasant bank endowed with forest. Snigdakanta said, after the end of night, not much time remained. Krishna and the gopis wandered about incessantly. Krishna boldly desired amorous pastimes. What did he and his lovers do at the end of night? Madhukanta said, after a description of the forest, there's a description of their pastimes. When Krishna played hide and seek with the gopis, this pastime produced opportunities to be alone, where a couple could engage in intimate affairs. While searching in the forest, the gopis achieved Krishna in various forms and various ways, and taking him into a grove, went far away from the eyes of others. While searching in the forest, the gopis achieved Krishna in various forms and various ways, and taking him into a grove, went far away from the eyes of others. While searching in the forest, the gopis achieved Krishna in various forms and various ways, and taking him into a grove, went far away from the eyes of others. While searching in the forest, the gopis achieved Krishna in various forms and various ways, and taking him into a grove, went far away from the eyes of others. Any gopi who was alone with Krishna and also saw Krishna alone with another gopi was unaware of anything wrong, because that gopi considered what she saw to be a tamala tree with a golden creeper. The sounds made by the couple's ornaments were covered by the chirping of flocks of birds. The sounds made by the couple's ornaments were covered by the chirping of flocks of birds. The sounds of love were covered by the warbling of the cuckoo. Their forms were hidden by groves of tamala and champaka trees. The sounds made by the couple's ornaments were covered by the chirping of flocks of birds. The sounds of by the warbling of the cuckoo. Their forms were hidden by groves of tamala and champaka trees. A forest filled with dense darkness is not impossible for others to enter, but the forest which increased the loving exchanges of the couples by the light of the moon in the bhava was impossible for others to enter. In private bhavas, all the couples of Krishna and gopis enjoyed. Their words were pleasant and playful. Their hair stood on their pure, trembling bodies. They became most unsteady because of the desire for amorous sports. All the rasas such as astonishment, fear, anger, ghastliness, parental, friendly and servant love, compassion, heroism, comedy, peace and conjugal rasa suitably manifested for tasting as they were favorable to conjugal rasa. All the rasas such as astonishment, fear, anger, ghastliness, parental, friendly and servant love, compassion, heroism, comedy, peace, and conjugal rasa suitably manifested for tasting as they were favorable to conjugal rasa. Wandering in the forest lit by waves of light, wandering in the forest lit by waves of light from the full moon, in order to observe the remarkable natures of various known and unknown birds, beasts, and plants, Krishna became favorable for enjoying with the gopis' astonishment. Wandering in the forest lit by waves of light from the full moon, wandering in the forest lit by waves of light from the full moon, in order to observe the remarkable natures of various known and unknown birds, beasts, and plants, favorable for enjoying with the gopis' astonishment. Wandering in the forest lit by waves of light from the full moon, in order to observe the remarkable natures of various known and unknown birds, beasts, and plants, Krishna became favorable for enjoying with the gopis. He revealed his absorption in his task by forcibly entering the forest to pick flowers filled with honey and covered with intoxicated bees, and to produce pleasure for the gopis having trembling hearts. His lotus eyes turned red and spread to his makara earrings in punishing the bold bees, using the rough stem of his play lotus on seeing the women incessantly crying on being bitten by daring bees. His lotus eyes turned red and spread to his makara earrings in punishing the bold, using the rough stem of his play lotus on seeing the women incessantly crying on being bitten by daring bees. His lotus eyes turned red and spread to his makara earrings in punishing the bold bees, using the rough stem of his play lotus on seeing the women incessantly crying on being bitten by daring bees in anger. Relishing the bodies of the women with beautiful faces and attractive gestures, he looked with disgust at the land lotuses. It shows his ghastliness. He began creating a sweet sounds on experiencing the sweet messages sent by parrots, which he could understand. Parental. This is the parental affection. He shed tears of pain on seeing the fullness of the beautiful buds swinging because of intense emotion caused by his own pastimes. Compassion. He fired long arrows of love by his glances at the women with ties like banana trees in order to cut their deep pride mixed with impudence, heroism. Mixed with impudence, heroism. Heroism. He began to laugh on seeing similarity of rules as couples of animals engaged in amorous courtship. Comedy. His eyes became contracted and then closed out of detachment on seeing the various people's happiness arising from touching each other. Peace. He was like an ocean of anuraga awakened on experiencing the happiness of the women as they slept from fatigue after enjoyment. Conjugal. In this way, Keshava enjoyed with the gopis, seeing the bee kissing the creepers and the parrot indulging in pomegranate fruit. Krishna became unsteady with desire and longed to enjoy the gopis. Seeing from far off the bees drinking the nectar while biting the flower intensely, Krishna's gopis experienced strong desire. I do not think there's power to describe. Seeing the full moon night, the forest of Vrindavana, all the bhavas, all the beds, all the couples of Krishna and gopis and their pastimes of prema, my mind immediately gives up its power of inquiry, and then in bewilderment, I quickly develop a choke throat concerning these topics. By what means can these things be seen? Seeing the full moon night, the forest of Vrindavana, all the bhavas, all the beds, all the couples of Krishna and gopis, and their pastimes of prema, my mind immediately gives up its power of inquiry, and then in bewilderment, I quickly develop a choke throat concerning these topics. By what means can these things be seen? Here, all these topics will be described generally, but one must describe some particulars. As long as Radha's wealth of auspicious qualities do not make an appearance, the auspicious forms and qualities of the other gopis can be described. But when Radha appears, a wealth of auspiciousness cannot be described at all. What to speak of other topics relating to her? But when Radha appears, a wealth of auspiciousness cannot be described at all. What to speak of other topics relating to her? All the gopis, fearing that other people would come, restricted their absorption in the pastimes. They then took off their pastime clothing and came out of the creeper bhavas to a natural. Leaving the bhavas, they noticed that the cruel pain-inflicting sun was rising. In the eastern direction, a slight pink glow had covered the moon. It appeared that the moon was quickly falling with its rays and was about to set. The night lotuses were wilting. Thus the gopis, understanding the night with the Rasa Dance had ended, also withered. The women of heavenly planets spoke. When a person of low stature forcibly reaches a high position, he will certainly fall. The moon, thinking it had surpassed the beauty of the gopis' faces, fell from the sky. The gopis shamed the blue lotuses by their glances. The gopis shamed the blue lotuses by their glances. Thus their friend the moon. The gopis shamed the blue lotuses by their glances. Thus their friend the moon, seeing the lotuses tormented, fell into the ocean. The gopis said, the sun destroying the constellations and our luster is quickly rising and spreading in the sky. Showing the constellations and our luster is quickly rising and spreading in the sky. Krishna, youth attractive to women and endowed with excellent nature, seeing the condition of the gopis who were motionless like dolls and endowed with abundant prema, wiped away their tears. He consoled them with sweet words. If I embrace you in my arms continually and fulfill my desire, I will not be satisfied in my heart. Though my desire is fulfilled, friends will create unlimited obstacles on seeing us. Therefore, go to your homes and we will meet again. Do not experience melancholy. Taking each other's hands, as previously, the gopis then returned to Vraja with attraction for the pastimes in their heart. Though controlled internally by the gopis, Krishna served his relatives since he had the quality of a great person. The narrow paths to the village separated the gopis. The millions of gopis separated from their friends were not even aware of this. Some of Radha's unlimited friends went on a special path to a place near their bhavas in their groves and played for a while without going home. What did Krishna not do when the gopis were about to go? I cannot count the actions. He embraced them firmly and kissed them. He spoke words instilling trust and gave them great respect. They spoke with choked voices. Oh Krishna, it's not possible that we could attain you, but still we attained you. Please hear our request. Civilized people do not give up what they have achieved. Thinking of their separation, Krishna and the gopis embraced, soaking each other with their tears. Thus their external bodies became moist. Thus the melted hearts of both appeared internally and externally. Thus the melted hearts of both appeared internally and externally. The gopis, along with Krishna, understood that dawn had appeared by the sweet chirping of birds. The gopis, along with Krishna, understood that dawn had appeared by the sweet chirping of birds. Astonished, with trembling and tears, they decided to separate, but this caused unlimited thoughts. Astonished, with trembling and tears, they decided to separate, but this caused unlimited thoughts. Astonished, with trembling and tears, they decided to separate, but this caused unlimited thoughts. On separating, both parties looked at each other with crooked glances. Because of constant tears, the tears became exhausted. They went to their houses. This is not astonishing, for accomplished people can perform all tasks without effort. Krishna experienced great pain on separation from his many lovers, but separation from Radha produced a disease which included all other diseases. When the gopis saw the fast approach of Brahma Muhurta after pastimes on the bank of the Yamuna in the autumn moonlight, their minds began to burn, hiding their forms and activities on the path, attached to the playful pastimes. But with desire held within, showing a little fatigue externally, they entered Vraja. The reciter concluded the description of the Rasa festival. Externally, it was finished, but internally, the Rasa continued. This is the reason. The women, having ended the Rasa dance and pained by the household duties, became absorbed in the Rasa dance. The dancing, singing, and music, complete with all pastimes, appeared directly in their houses. The dancing, singing, and music, complete with all pastimes, appeared directly in their houses. Appeared directly in their houses. In those Rasa pastimes, Krishna was the only hero. The gopis who defeated Lakshmi and the Anuraga generated were faultless. Poets may describe all this completely, but Shukadeva does not think that any of them can perfectly describe those pastimes. Snigdakanta said, oh, what happened to the 4 young boys, Dama, Sudama, Vasudama, and Kinkini? Madhukanta said, previously they climbed a very high tree. Then, understanding that Krishna was going home, silent, keeping their distance, they followed him. Madhukanta, summarizing the rasa pastime, spoke till the end of night with concern that he had distorted the rasa pastimes by his descriptions. He folded his hands and spoke. O Radha, filled with all fortune, you have attained a husband, endowed with all qualities, whom the women of the three worlds serve because of his eagerness for the rasa dance. Krishna called the two reciters who stood with folded hands, awaiting orders, and rewarded them with ornaments worn by the gopis. Excited by the festival of giving, though they were individuals, appeared to multiply their forms because of the quickness of giving. Everyone returned to their houses to take rest at Brahma Muhurta time. So, Hare Krishna, I would like to stop here today. We will continue tomorrow. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.